Hi everyone, I'm going to show you how to do another easy Kattis problem. This one is asking you to display the last digit of a factorial. So it's very simple. If I give you the input 5, for example, you have to work out 5 factorial, which is 120, I think. And you just have to output 0, the last digit. So it's a very simple problem, but I think it's a good one to practice doing input and output in Java. Now, the one thing you have to keep in mind is that input is completely different to output, right? What do I mean by that? Just ignore me if this already makes sense to you. But basically, when you write your program for this kind of questions, where you have to read multiple inputs and you have to output a separate answer for each of the inputs. For example, here, you have to read 3 different numbers, 1, 2, 3. And then for each number here, you have to print out the corresponding last factorial digit. What I'm saying here is that you don't need to read 3, 1, 2, 3 at the start of your program. Well, you have to read in 3 because you need to know how many numbers you have to read after that. But you might be thinking that, oh, now I have to read 3 numbers, 1 to 3, and then store them somewhere. Actually, you don't, because you can just read the next number, 1, process that, output the result, which is 1, and then read the next number, 2, process it, output the result, and then so on. Because again, input is separate to output, and we only care about you printing out the correct output. We don't care about when you do it. So whenever you see this kind of problem, you don't have to read the whole input at once, if you don't need all of them. So let's start writing our code. I'm going to use Eclipse again. And in Eclipse, I usually like to make a new package for each problem. So I'm going to make a package last factorial digit. And let's make a new class. I always call it main. Let's add in the main function. And let me set up the scanner class. Just like before. I don't need that. Oh, I guess I need to import it. Okay, that should do it. Then we have to read our first integer. I'm going to call it n. And then we have a for loop going n times. And in each one of the iteration of this loop, I'm going to read another integer. So probably I'll call it x. Now, once we know what x is, we have to work out x factorial. I guess there are many ways you can do this, but since I'm guaranteed that this value is not going to be more than 10, so usually here on the question, n is at most 10. So what I can do is I'll just compute it on the fly. I'm going to write a for loop that will compute x factorial. So here's the loop. Equal to I guess I need a variable to hold the answer, so let's call it fact, and I'm gonna start from 2 up to x, and I'm going to multiply fact with j. I hope this makes sense. So if x is equal to 1, then you won't even execute this in a loop. If x is equal to 2, then you multiply factorial by j, which is starting at 2. So whatever x is. Again, we guarantee that x is not going to be more than 10, so this should be fine. And once we know what the factorial is, we just output it. We just want the last digits, so %10. Let's try it. Hope I did not make any mistake. Just gonna copy and paste, see if it works. Well, that's kind of a bit messed up because we're doing this on Eclipse. Let's try again. Let me just do 3, 1, 2, 3. Yep, 1, 2, 6. That's what we want. Let's do 2, 5, 2, 0, 2. That's what we want. So it doesn't really matter if you input using new line or space here, because Java will be smart enough to differentiate between the numbers and spaces. In this case, I use spaces because, well, you saw what happened when I used 3 different new lines. It did not look good. Okay, I'm going to try to submit. I'm going to copy the file. Make sure you don't copy the package line there, because otherwise it won't compile if you try to submit it. Let's hope this works. Switch to editor, paste the file. This is going to be in Java. Main class is called main. Submit. And we just wait. That's it. Done. Accepted. So just another quick question. That is easy to do. But the point again, the point I was trying to make is that when you see this kind of problems, when you have multiple inputs, you don't have to read all the inputs at once at the start. You can process the input one at a time. All right, so just keep that in mind. By the way, this is also an example of a question that you can hard code, because you are guaranteed that n is at most 10. So you know the number that you get is not going to be more than 10. You can do something like this. So I'm going to run this code, and I'm going to give it 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I know all the numbers. So it's 1, 2, 6, 4, and then always 0. Because once you get to 5 factorial, the last digit is always going to be 0, right? So it's only going to be different for 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check out what x is. And, well, let's have a integer factorial. If x is equal to 3, then I'm going to say that factorial x is equal to x times 3, sorry, times 2, because, well, I'll just say 6. If x is equal to 4, I'm going to say that x is equal to, well, actually it's equal to 4 anyway. So, and then if x is greater than or equal to 5, and set x to 0, and I just output x. So this is being hard coded, but of course this code is going to be much faster than what we did before, because there's no loop at all, right? So if I test this again, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I get, ooh, that's not right, that should be 6, oh, sorry, else if, instead of if, that'd be better. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, that looks okay. So I'm going to copy that and try to submit again. Main. And let's see if this one gets accepted. Yep, that's fine. So of course this is not a good code because you're hard coding it, but that's a thing in competitive programming. Like, no one's going to read your code, no one's gonna work out how you do something. They only care about what output you produce. So it doesn't matter how you do it. And this is actually a valid strategy for some of them, because maybe something takes a long time to compute, but if you can compute it, but if there's only so few inputs that you can work out all the possible outputs, you can compute it on your own time before you submit, and you actually hard code the values in there. But I'm sure that doesn't happen very often. I've only seen it happen once or twice. Okay, so that's it for this video, and I'll see you in another problem.